Namaste and welcome back to another episode of Leadership Unplugged with Nasir Sheikh. We are in conversation with Sukumar Shekhar, and we are going to discuss today a very interesting topic, Midas or Medusa from a leadership perspective. So Sukumar, firstly, thank you very much for coming back on the show and sharing your insights. It's going to be an interesting conversation because we're going to talk about Midas or Medusa, and when people will say, what does this have got to do with leadership? And, you want to throw a little bit of light on this?
Sure. Again, before I get started, thank you so much for having me again, Nazir. It's an absolute pleasure working with you on this. Not my favorite topic or not my strongest topic, to be honest, but I thought I'll give it a go. The way I would look at it is, in my experience, I've seen at times, probably it's happened with me as well. It's just that when it happens with you, you don't realize much, especially when it's Midas touch, right? And what I mean by that is at times, when your stars are aligned, I say your stars are aligned, when you're at the right place, at the right time, in the right team, with the right manager, and you just keep soaring, right? Nothing goes wrong. Whatever you say, whatever you do, just works in your favor, right? And at times you tend to go through a phase, and nobody is spared from this, right? Life's a circle. You go up, and when the circle spins, at times you come down. And I also give that as an example, an analogy to people to say, listen, when you're up, look down only to pull people up. Don't look down on them, because when the circle spins, you will need help, and people can put you down, and you will need people to pull you up, right? And in my industry, I've seen X reports to Y, and a few years Y reports to X. I've seen this a couple of times as well. All right. So the key is, and the way I analyze it is, when you're having that Midas touch and everything goes well, at times people tend to get carried away, right? And they tend to become arrogant. They tend to take it for granted. And it's very, very important for you to realize that God is, and when I say God, I just don't give it a name or shape. I just believe in there's some power out there, some superpower out there. You're being blessed so that you can help more and you can give out more, not for you to just get your feet off the ground and start flying high up and, become arrogant. And at the same time, what's even more important is when you're going through a bad phase, right? And when your stars are not aligned, it's extremely important to keep reassuring yourself that nothing lasts forever, right? It's a matter of time. What is the best I can do? I mean, I recently went through a phase where, an organization went down and, got taken over by another one. And it was extremely important for me to, one, believe in that and hold myself high in energy and stuff, but also to motivate and inspire my staff so that they don't, go down with that, right? So, it's extremely important to realize that there are certain things that will happen which is beyond your control, right? It's very important for you to realize what's in your control. The only thing in your control is how you react and how you respond to situations. Everything else, right? I mean, if you say that person didn't understand, this person doesn't listen, you are playing a victim, right? You're surrendering everything in their hands. But for you to take ownership and say, what do I have to do to make them understand? How do I have to behave and talk for them to listen, right? Now you're taking ownership, right? And when you're going through that negative phase or bad phase or whatever you want to call it, it's very important for you to stay focused, because if you lose focus, you're going to make it worse. As such, you're going through a bad phase, and so you're going to give up and you're going to start behaving erratically. You're just going to dig your grave deeper. So it's very important to calm down, sit back, realize, okay, what's in my control? I couldn't have done anything. Here, I could have done this. This is my learning. This is what I'm going to do from now. Reach out for help. Very important. With people, everybody's got problems in life. You need that trusted circle where you can just be yourself, let down your guard and just open up and say, listen, I'm going through this. I need this help. And that's why the social circle is extremely important, right? You can't share everything with your family because your family starts to worry. That makes it even worse because, you can't see them struggle. So the resilience is very important. But by God's grace, I've been through a lot of difficult situations in personal and professional life. And nothing that kills you only makes you stronger, right? So you become so resilient that you will come out of that phase. And when you come out much stronger.
And that's so true. I've noticed that, similar to you, I've had humble beginnings, both on a personal front and professional front, gone through struggles and had the sad part of losing my parents early, both of them very early in my life. And that's something that, till date, it kind of, you miss out on, and you build that. But one thing I've realized, and this is something that, is the learnings and the teachings of the parents, that, if you put your head down and if you kind of trust yourself, you believe in yourself, irrespective of the phase, be it the Medusa phase or the Midas phase, you will ride the wave out. Absolutely. And you will kind of come out on top with your head high. And it's very important at that time, to stay grounded. And you can see the surfers, or you see anybody, when they're riding the wave, they've got their knees bent. They're more balanced out there, because the more you're closer to the ground, the better you'll kind of come out, and it's so well said by you out there. When we say the Medusa phase, that, whatever you do, and you may be doing the best thing possible. And I've been through that, in fact, whenever I go through that, I kind of tell myself, listen, is your intent right? What are you kind of looking at? And are you putting your best effort? And are you able to sleep at night peacefully? That, I've put in my best. And then, take it on from there, because you will go through it. So what's your thought on this phase, Medusa phase, and how do you kind of come out of that? Because, sometimes it's not in your control.
Absolutely. Very good. And before I go to that, I didn't want to cut you. I'm really sorry to hear about your parents passing away early. My heart goes out. Coming back to your question, one thing I tell all my staff is, before you put in the papers, right, before you resign, right, ask yourself this question and remind yourself of the day, right, when you really wanted this job. That's why you joined, right? And before you got this job, you went through a series of interviews, and probably before every interview, you went to a temple or church or mosque or gurudwara or whatever. You prayed. You gave your best, you prepared yourself, you were so nervous, you were hoping you'll get this job, you were worried if you'll get the right compensation package. When you got it, you pumped the air and you said, that's it, I made it. And you came in with such motivation and passion, and you just wanted to give your best. Remind yourself about that. And now ask yourself, what is the one reason that you're leaving, right? And my experience, again, most of the times, people say, oh, I don't like the work environment, right? It's we who build the environment, right? And I ask people that, when my staff ask me, okay, what is your expectation from us? I quite often tell them, I want you to be true to yourself. All I need is that, be true to yourself, right? And only you know deep down in your conscience that, did I give my best? Did I escalate on time? Did I seek help on time? Did I do the right thing, right? And if you're really true, you'll realize, oh, probably I should have, right, done something different, right? So when people come and say, I have a problem with managers, I say, okay, first and foremost, start with, okay, let me ask myself, did I handle the situation well, right? Start with you. Did I say it in the right way? Did I ask in the right way? And all of that, right? And if you figured out, oh, no, I've done everything right, then you should help your manager. As much as they owe it to you, you owe it to them. You got to help them become a better manager, right? And a leader. So try and do it in a way, right? Because a lot of times it boils down to how you do it, not what you do, right? So we're talking about giving feedback to the manager, right? That's the right thing to do. But if you do it in the wrong way, it can backfire very badly, right? So look for the right moment, right? Look for maybe ask them. I mean, some managers, if they're leaders, they themselves ask for feedback. Otherwise, you will have to volunteer, right? So maybe give them a feedback and help them, get better. If that's not working, go a step higher. Talk to the senior manager, right? And say, I need help. And it's not about him, it's about my career. And I need your help, right? And last but not, probably go to HR, right? They're here to help you, right? And then just probably leave. You don't have to put up and stay. And in an organization, in any big organization, everybody, levels of management failing and HR failing is very rare, right? If you truly believe you've done everything and they are failing, maybe you're in the wrong place, then leave. Leave, because if in that mindset you're going to continue to work, you are not just doing injustice to yourself, but also to others. You're spreading negativity, right? I also quote examples, right? That if you're highly motivated, you wouldn't see any problem anywhere, right? If there's no water in the water cooler or the water can, you will replace it yourself and go. But if you're demotivated, you will make that a reason and go and tell people, what kind of an organization, there's no water, why do you want to do that, right? Leave, because If you push yourself to that extent, you're going to lose sleep. You're going to affect your health. It's going to affect your family. What's the point in living like that? Leave. It's okay. Right?
And that's so well said, And the other thing that you said, it's not what you say, but how you say it. More often than not, in these situations, in these circumstances, what I've realized is there's something, one line, one word, or a para that a person has said that's kind of pierced you badly, and that's hurt you. And you're, seething from that pain, and you want to kind of get out of it. And being emotional about a decision. So you rightly said, it's very important to get practical about the decision. Start with yourself, and then build it outwards and peel the onion in the reverse factor and see what really is the reason. Because you're right, you joined the organization because you wanted to. So true. Similarly, this is how you kind of deal it when you're riding the trough. But, sometimes everything's going perfect. And, we spoke about it, and you could, for example, say, hell to you. And the person will say, wow, what guts this guy has. He's called out his manager, or he's called out the situation. What a great guy. And the other times when you say, great morning, and somebody will come back and tell you what's so great about it.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you kind of deal with the situation where everything's a high for you? How do you go about that?
So as I just kind of touched upon it, it's very important to, and this is where I said, when in the Medusa's phase, it's easy to recognize. But the Midas phase, you will not even recognize. You will actually start to think, oh, I'm great. I'm just so superb that whatever I touch turns into gold. It's all me, me, me. Yes, it is probably you, but it's also probably you're going through a good phase, right? Because a lot of people, extremely talented people that we see across industry, who should be way above where they are. I mean, I have had many of my direct reports, that I feel that they're super smart, right? They should probably be a level above me. And I honestly don't mind reporting to some of them. They're that fabulous. It's very important for you to recognize the fact that, okay, God is blessing me with a lot, right? Again, some superpower is blessing me with a lot. I shouldn't get carried away. I want to pay this back. And how do you pay back? Is that you pass it on, right? So if you're getting all the attention from seniors, you probably give all the attention to your staff. If you're getting all the training, you give all the training back, right? And it's very important to stay humble, right? Because the moment you start to get carried away and you start to talk like, I know what I'm saying, right? I know what I'm doing. When that I comes, you don't have to teach me. And that's quite possible that it happens because you're getting carried away. So you now know that nothing can go wrong. Whatever you say is going to work in your favor. The day you start to think like that is the day when your downfall begins. Then it becomes a ticking time bomb. It's a matter of time. It could be days, it could be weeks, it could be months, but your downfall is certain because your feet is not on the ground. I mean, if you think about it, if your feet is on the ground, you can't fall down. You're already on the ground, right? If you're flying too high, and because of your inflated ego, you will fall very hard.
True. So true. And it's really an important point that you touched there, right? When you're in your Midas phase, help and pass it on, pass it forward. Because there may be somebody in the Medusa phase out there, and you're actually picking that person up and getting that person out of that phase, and thereby, doing good for your organization. My mom used to always tell me, and my dad also, used to kind of emphasize on that to me was, they always remember, Nasir, that, and he used to tell me in Urdu that, aap ek zariya ho. You're only a madhyam, you're only a medium. You are not the power. The power is somewhere else. You're only a medium of this transition, and it's so important that, you recognize that. And the day that you feel that you are the provider, then there is a problem.
Absolutely.
And, that's kind of helped me, build my career out there, that you're always a medium, you're not the end goal.
Absolutely. I mean, me and my wife were just having a discussion a couple of days back around something similar, and we were talking about how we were watching a nice movie, and in the movie, the main character gets to commit crimes because life pushed them to an extreme, right? And all of us have breaking points. It's very, very unfortunate, and that kind of led to a conversation where I was saying how important it is to have core values, and your ethics should be so strong, and your core values should be so strong, and that comes from your parents mainly during your formative years, how they have raised you, right? And then life happens, right? All of us have a breaking point. Like I said, yes, it can break, But if it's really strong, your resilience is really high, right? Unless life, I would never say, that you can never do something wrong. I do believe that everybody's got a breaking point, right? I mean, I don't want to say, like I was telling a bunch of my friends a couple of days back again, that I used to say never, never, never. Now I say, I'll hesitate to say I'll never steal. I just hope life doesn't push me to an extent. If I'm seeing my daughter starve to death, I might steal, right? Because that, at that point of time, is most important. But that goes back to that core values. If it's so good, so strong, you normally don't fall easily. You don't break easily when life tests you.
And you should not test God by saying never. I'm a big believer of that. That don't challenge the Almighty, because you don't want him pushing back.
And it's also very important to realize, and I'm not an expert in this. Let me be very honest. I'm at the cusp of, the more I learn, the more I realize, the more I'm trying to change. So I'm not an expert, or I'm not perfect by any standard, right? But the more I realize, I start to thank people who come to me for help. That thank you for giving me an opportunity to help, because it makes me feel good, right? And I also say that I'm doing it for a selfish reason, because I want to feel good, right? So the day I think that I am doing you a favor, that's when your feet start to go off the ground, right? Yesterday I was grabbing a coffee with another friend who just wanted to say bye because I'm between jobs, moving locations. And, and that person said, oh, whenever I've asked for time, you've given time. And I said, listen, you need some advice. You're in trouble. You're in a phase. You need time, right? If I refuse, I'm committing a sin. Because there are a lot of people in this world who just need time, who just need ears, who just need shoulders. That's it. So when they reach out, please give them time. You may not be able to give it immediately at that point of time, but please do give eventually, because it's extremely important.
Right. And it's so important, what you said, giving time. And that, away from the topic, in general, if somebody reaches out to you for time, reaches out to you for a conversation, please make that, because you could be changing that person's life. You could be actually saving that person's life by that little time that you give, that little attention that you give, that moment that you give to, spend with them, because suddenly they feel cared for. Suddenly they feel that, oh, there is someone I can share with. And they've reached out to you because they believe they can talk to you. They believe that they can share with you. Don't deny them that, because today you've got that luxury, People always ask me that, how do you find time for the, and I'm at the, brunt of jokes, on with friends for a dinner when my wife's there, that how and I know that happened for you too. That how I find time in a family conversation to take a call from somebody else. But I just feel that, I've been blessed that somebody's reaching out to me. And if I'm not able to contribute, then I'm denying myself that opportunity. And I shouldn't do that.
Sorry, on that topic, I tell people whenever they say, no time, I said that can be the lousiest, lamest excuse anybody can give, because the fact is all of us have the same 24 hours a day. It's a lack of priority. You please say it wasn't your priority, I'm fine with that, but don't say you didn't have time. It just wasn't your priority. Be it giving time to people, making a call, wishing them on a birthday, meeting them on an important vacation, whatever be it.
So true. But, thank you again, Suku. Fantastic conversation. So many insights. I think, this conversation will open a lot of eyes, and I look forward to spending time again with you. Thank you once again.
Sunday afternoon couldn't have been spent better, Nazir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.